The middle class of the States is no longer the world's wealthiest. The middle class share of national income has fallen while costs have increased significantly over the past few decades for fundamental needs such as health care and child care, and is taking up the larger shares of family budgets. Because of the critical role that middle-class consumers play in creating aggregate demand, our economy is in trouble and our middle class is in trouble. The reality is that the middle class is being squeezed. And this squeeze is so massive that it's not only affecting one family, it's affecting millions of families in the United States. According to an article by the American Progress Organization, productivity growth from 1991 to 2012 averaged 2.2% per year, yet compensation growth only averaged 1% per year. And the vast majority of this wage growth took place toward the end of the 1990s, as real wages and benefits jumped about 16% between 1995 and 2001. Not only have real incomes been stagnant over the past decade, but the increase in the cost of various items that define the middle class has been significant. And if things don't improve for our middle class soon, it's truly going to cause problems for our economy as a whole. Politicians are not doing enough to help solve the issues the middle class is having, and our country needs to address the issue now and start putting policies into place effectively immediately, or our country is going to continue to suffer. First, I'll discuss how our middle class is suffering. The middle class is suffering in more ways than one. In a 2014 Pew Research Center survey, 57% of Americans responded that they think their incomes are falling behind the growing cost of living, up from 47% in 2006. In fact, the percentage of Americans who identify themselves as middle class has fallen to 44%, down from 53% in 2008. Real compensation growth has slowed tremendously since the start of the 21st century. And on top of that, health insurance premiums over this period have eaten into even modest compensation gains. Therefore, many Americans have seen stagnant or declining take-home pay even as productivity continues to rise. According to the Census Bureau, the median family saw its income fall by 8% between 2000 and 2012. Even when we look at just married couples with 2 children, a type of family that tends to have higher incomes, median income was virtually frozen between 2000 and 2012. In fact, investing in the basic pillars of middle-class security, child care, housing, and health care, as well as setting aside modest savings for retirement and college, cost $10,600 more in 2012 than it did in 2000. Increases in higher education costs are also a huge part of the middle class squeeze. The long-term health of the U.S. economy is at risk if financially squeezed families cannot afford, and smart public policies do not support developing the next generation of America's workforce. It's this workforce that's going to lead the United States into an increasingly open and competitive global economy. There's also the impact on supply and demand. The ability for the wealthy to purchase lavish things such as private jets and decked-out yachts creates demand for such luxuries, which creates jobs for building such luxuries. But the declining purchase power of middle-class Americans means that there is less demand for goods and services broadly in the community. Next, I will discuss the role our politicians play in the struggles America's middle class are having. Though some politicians appear to be advocates of increasing rights and increasing finances for our country's middle class, most of them are the cause of some of these struggles. Politicians have put certain policies in place that make it difficult for the middle class to prosper. Political parties are not offering great enough incentives to the middle class to help alleviate the strain, such as tax advantages. Then there's all the government regulations. Savings need more long-term government protection than they receive, and with the regulations our government currently has in place, we as citizens don't receive a sufficient amount of protection for our savings funds. Government laws have also put restrictions into place that prevent small businesses from growth and employment. Not only are small businesses among the most creative and entrepreneurial forces present in our economy, they also lead in new technology and patent creation in the United States. Knowing that our middle class is under serious financial strain, our country wants to create policies to help alleviate that strain. There are several things our country can do to change the situation. The idea of ownership needs to apply more to civil society. It might be a good idea, for example, if citizens could establish ownership rights over their local school by becoming members, or even their local libraries and police stations. We also need to address the imbalance between our national and our global community. All nations in the modern world depend on other nations and flourish if they embrace that interdependence, for the sake of trade and the sake of peace. We need to balance the national and global community and strengthen national jurisdiction. There's the issues of outsourcing and high unemployment rates in the U.S. overall. Our country needs to invest in a dynamic economy powered by skilled workers who operate in an environment that lets them and their businesses compete at home and abroad. We also should improve education and workforce development programs, including a dramatic expansion of apprenticeship programs in high-growth sectors by creating a $1,000 federal tax credit for each apprentice hired. By doing these things, we could decrease our unemployment rate tremendously. For child care, we could expand and reform the child care subsidy system, which is currently insufficient to reach even a majority of low-income working parents, let alone those struggling to stay in the middle class. By both providing additional resources to help families access high-quality child care and ensuring that child care assistance declines gradually as parents earn more money, rather than cutting them off abruptly. There are several reasons why middle class is suffering, and most of our politicians aren't helping to improve the situation. If our country does not start putting policies into place to start improving the struggles that the middle class is having, our economy is going to continue to feel the strain as well. We need a strong and prosperous middle class in order to have a strong and thriving economy. The longer the middle class continues to suffer, the longer these issues will continue to affect the middle class families across the country and our economy as well.